Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. My name is Louis Mendes. Hope you guys are all well on your Sunday morning. On today's show, we will be looking back at yesterday's fantastic day in SC7 as the Addicks ran out 3-0 winners against Blackburn Rovers at the Valley. Joining me to do so, first up, top right, is Paul Clements. How you doing, Paul?
Morning, Louis. Morning, Joe. Morning, fellow Charlton fans. I am, how will I describe? Seventh heaven, I think. One glance at the table, seventh heaven. That's how I'm feeling this morning. And just to add to the amazing day, I went along with a dear old friend of mine that I'd not seen for a long time, Stuart, who introduced me to this great club 37 years ago. It was absolutely brilliant to see him. And we wrapped it up in the river. And what a lovely ale house that is. So well done, Joe. Lovely to have finished the day before travelling back down to West Sussex in your great establishment. So yeah, amazing.
Well, it sounds like the perfect day in SC7. That, and also joining us there on the bottom of the screen with the man who helps run the river is Joe Puddyfoot. How you doing, Joe?
I'm all good. Sorry, having trouble getting off mute there. All good. Absolutely delighted. I've come up with a get-rich-quick scheme. I'm going to be a sports psychologist and just live for a couple of weeks in the minds of the opposition, because we absolutely dominated them from start to finish, didn't we? They're going to be having nightmares for months and months to come up in Blackburn, and I'm really looking forward to earning a few million quid out of that.
Lovely stuff. Well, that'll be money well spent if they can find a way to get over yesterday, because we battered them. We absolutely did. So on today's show, we will look back at yesterday's game. We're going to hear the goals from Charlton TV soon. We're going to hear from the Addicks boss, Nathan Jones, of course. We're going to hear from Sonny, Carey as well, the man who scored the second goal. Absolute screamer that was to put us 2-0 up yesterday. We want to hear from you guys as well. Morning to everyone who's joining us live in the chat. First one in there was Jake, said, was it just me or did that win feel absolutely effortless yesterday? Carey is already signing of the season for him. He's been incredible every game. See you all in the morning. That's from Jake. So yeah, loads of you in there. Let us know your thoughts on yesterday's game. You can email us studio@charltonlive.co.uk. You can tweet us at Charlton Live, or the best thing to do is to head over to the live stream comments there and put in your views into the into the chat. Paul, just before we hear the goals from yesterday, I mean, that's been coming, hasn't it? But I mean, it finally arrived yesterday, and we found that goal scoring touch, and we took our chances, and oh my goodness, that was a fantastic day, up to 7th.
Yeah, it was so richly deserved, and I just wrote down the word you just shared, effortless, in that, and I know it didn't mean effortless from the team. That's what I want to hone in on, is the amount of effort that was put in by the team yesterday, because, you know, the consistency throughout every game in terms of the high press and the work rate from front to back has been absolutely phenomenal. And I thought yesterday was the very best display of that. And I have no doubt it contributed to us getting those richly deserved 3 points. But yeah, it was richly deserved, as other results were. And for it to have all clicked as it did, I thought was just absolutely brilliant. I mean, we had a few things changed the dynamic, I think it's fair to say, which we'll get into, with Maka coming on when Unfortunately, we had Josh pick up that injury early on. But when that dynamic shifted, because they did have a spell after first 5-10 minutes, we were just 2 steps ahead of them all game. And to have seen all that come together and culminate in a 3-0 victory feels so good, feels so deserved. And it's exciting for us because we've now put 2 back-to-back wins together, and you're just thinking, oh, what next? What can we do?
What can we do? I mean, that is the question, isn't it? Let's not get carried away. Let's listen to the goals from Charlton TV. Brownie was alongside Terry and Greg yesterday.
Bree prepares to take the free kick. Whips it in with decent pace towards the far post. Gillespie's there! And Gillespie scores! Macaulay Gillespie called into action. And he's made an immediate impact for Nathan Jones and his Charlton side.
I tell you, I can't begin to tell you what a fantastic header that is in terms of you're crossing over your feet, you're trying to get away from your man, you're watching, you're keeping your eye on the ball, which is coming in at pace, swinging away from the goalkeeper, swinging beyond the far post. Not only have you got to get your nut on it and put it back into a danger area, he's had the foresight to nut it right into the bottom corner. Yeah, it's a really good
cover is left centre half, and then the ball out from Doherty's found Alafe in the left-hand corner, edge of the penalty area. Tees up inside Carey. Carey looking to shoot. Carey takes. Oh! What a goal from Sonny Kerry! Teed up by Alafe and then drilled the ball home to the right side of the keeper. And Charlton do have the second goal.
Yeah, going to give a lot of credit to Alafe as well, because he offers that. He offers pace. He offers penetration in behind the back line, and he offers strength, which is the important bit. He bullied the defender. I didn't quite see who it was for Blackburn. Bullied him. And then the intelligence to hold the ball up and wait for support. He turns, finds Carey. It's a long, long way out. He has struck that ferocious power.
He does well to step in for Charlton and win it back, and then he finds Alafe, who's on a run now. Tanto Alafe now finds Doherty in the box. Doherty, ball back across, looking for Bree with a shot, and he's finished it. First goal for Charlton. James Bree, set up by the skipper, and the Addicks have a 3-goal lead.
Yeah. And I'd imagine that'll make my mate in Canada very happy. I think he's drinking in Doreen and Randy's pub. And it's no more than we deserve. Again, Alafe involved. Doherty with a superb overlap. Lovely weighted pass into his path. And you wanted to see a little cutback. You didn't want to see a ball slid across the 6-yard line. They had that covered off. And when the cutback comes, Bree steps on and calmly slots the ball low past tight into his bottom right-hand corner. And that is no more, I've said it a couple of times, than this home side deserve. They've been devastating in this second 45. It's probably the best performance I've seen in a long, long time against a championship outfit. Thoroughly deserving of the 3 points and the 3 goals.
Marvellous. There we go. The highlights from Charlton TV yesterday. Goals from Gillespie, from Carey and from Bree right at the end of the game, giving the Addicks the 3-0 win. As I said to Paul there, Joe, I mean, that has been coming all season long. And we were sort of laughing last week, weren't we, in the chat, when people who were watching on Sky Sports were saying they kept referring to us as struggling Charlton. I mean, come on. Struggling Charlton was 7th. I mean, have a look at our performances, and anyone who's watched us all season knows that yesterday, as we've all seen it coming a mile off.
Yeah, we're 7th, and that's because Leicester absolutely stole 3 points and are above us, quite frankly. And Bristol City robbed us by getting a point as well, and they're above us. So if those 2 results had gone the way that the flow of the game had gone, and the moments had been executed as well as they have been, or they were yesterday, then we would be sitting comfortably in the playoffs. So I don't think we're sat in 7th having lucked our way through a couple of results and stolen a few points that we don't deserve, which actually last season, you would argue, we were probably this time last season batting slightly above our performances. We're batting well below where we've been playing. So it's tricky because I'm desperately trying to talk myself out of getting excited about the playoffs after a mere 7 games in the Championship. But we just don't seem to be particularly troubled or phased. As long as we're on it and we're at it, teams are really struggling to keep hold of us. And that second half, I mean, it was remarkable. As soon as Gillespie came on, I thought that the game changed, and the passes, the incisive passes he started making from back to front, and Burke then started copying it on the other side, really opened the game up, and they didn't have an answer for it. And in that second half, like Doc and Coventry and Carey, I don't know how many times they recovered the ball, but I think it's enough for a midfield trio for a season, the number of times that they nicked the ball off of players that were just caught a little bit napping. And it felt like an incessant wave. I know that Blackburn had their game abandoned because of rain, but I don't understand how it wasn't gale force winds blowing towards the covered end, because it didn't matter what they did. They just didn't seem to be able to get away from their goal. And you were sort of sat there, 1-0 up thinking, oh, God, please, we deserve a lot more out of this. And when Burke absolutely pummels it into the upper tier from 3 yards out, you're like, oh, here we go again. And we just showed that class towards the end that really gave the victory the gloss it deserved. Even though I think that 3-0 was a little bit harsh for the chances we had. So you're looking at it, it's really, really exciting time to be a Charlton fan, I think, at the minute. And going to Derby, and then you've got Preston coming up, and you're sort of thinking, I don't see why we're not going to beat Derby. Is sort of how you feel after yesterday. So it's a really strong start to the season.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, we can't be getting carried away. But I have just Googled where the 2028 Champions League finals being held, but they haven't decided it yet. If I were them, I'd just hold it at the Valley just to save everyone travelling. But the game started quite cagey, Paul, yesterday, and actually, in a strange way, it was probably the injury to Josh that sort of woke us up a little bit. Like, Josh tried to carry on. What wasn't to be. Hopefully he'll be okay. But then, and I was nervous about Macca coming on, because I think it's quite a difficult stage of a game to come into in the first half when you've not really played many minutes this season. But way before the goal, I say way, he was only on for 7 minutes before he scored, but he'd already won a couple of important challenges. He's already played a couple of lovely incisive passes in between the lines. But he just seemed to wake us up a little bit of that stepping out and winning the ball higher up than the back line that you sometimes get, particularly with our wider centre halves. That just seemed to give us a little bit of life yesterday, and all of a sudden we were on top. I mean, the header for the goal, it just capped like the perfect start to his game, and it was a wonderful free kick from Bree. And already the Charlton fans were singing about how he's got a massive head. And clearly he used the power that you can garner with such a big bonce, and to put that header in the far post. But yeah, fantastic from Macca. And I said it to Nathan Jones after, like, we saw it a bit last season. People, like in my mind, I was thinking Tene Watson, like someone who weren't starting games, but when we had to bring him in, actually he looked fit and he looked ready and he looked like he'd been nurtured as part of the squad on the training ground, which was really important. And Macca was superb yesterday.
Yeah, he was. He was a bit of a game changer, but not. I'm not talking about result. I'm just talking about the tempo of the game and what happened. I mean, that first 5 to 10 minutes, we just cancelled each other out. I mean, and I thought that first 5 minutes was going to be kind of the course and pattern of the games we've seen, where we've had relatively low percentage possession, and let them sort of like come at us a bit and chase down and create the odd chance. That's what I thought was going to happen. And then Macca came on. Really feel for Josh. I hope there's nothing serious there. Maybe come on to that later. But I thought he really did in that first probably 2 to 3 minutes. There are a couple of times where he really stepped in with energy, nicked the ball, and did something with it. As you say, Louis, I mean, his passing ability, he's got such a one for his left foot that he's just able to, long balls, nice curl, crisp passing, and the tempo changed. It just seemed to, just those few passes, a little bit like, for those listening that are old enough, Johnny Robinson had that in him for Charlton, where he could stir up the team by some ferocious tackle, clean tackle, but ferocious tackle, because he was so passionate about, he had that such a winning mentality. And we saw games in the past, back in those Premier years and Championship years, where everything felt galvanised at that point, and we would go. And there was a little bit of that from Macca yesterday, and huge credit to him. He's been on the sidelines, albeit he's had a few minutes off the bench all season. No doubt training his socks off and wondering, with his hero mantle from Wembley, what have I got to do to get in? Well, like Berkenbury last week, he came in and he staked his claim. He came in and he was faultless. He defended exceptionally well. He passed brilliantly. His long balls looked dangerous. And so what's not to like? And to have that strength in depth, that we're not going into a Tuesday night game if Josh is injured short or longer term, going into that Tuesday night game, not having to worry about it, because you got Macca that can slot in there, and Amari Bell, who is so, I thought, comfortable down the left wing side as well. It just goes to show what investment has been made and what smart transfer dealing to get us into this position for this season. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Amari going out there to left wing back, and we know he can play there. It's not like he was being asked to play in goal. Like, it's a position he knows well, but he just absolutely oozes championship experience. Like, you can tell that he's played 200 games there already. Like, it just looks so easy for him. I love Amari Bell. I think it's fantastic. Luke said Macca slotted in like he's been playing all season. He deserves massive credit for that, and he really does. Robert said he was also nervous about Macca. He wasn't sure about him in this league, but after the first 5 minutes, he was absolutely immense. He even said that Macca had the bit between his teeth as well. Yeah, team growing in confidence now. I mean, all these comments just, it's so clear what we all saw yesterday. All hell that Lou said, Macca wanted to make it really difficult for Nathan to drop him after he came on yesterday. And that is, like Isaac said, the team selection at the moment is a headache and a half. We saw it with the starting lineup, Joe. I mean, I think on Thursday's show, I said I think it would go unchanged, or certainly what I've been feeling this week, because, Nathan even said it in his questions with Rich on Thursday, like, if you play well, you don't come out the side. And as I said during the week, we saw it with the goalkeepers last year. Like, neither of them ever got dropped. They only came out when they got injured because they were fine. Nathan won't take you out if you're playing well. Mainly, obviously, there was a tactical decision to take Apter out at Sheffield United, but then Bree comes in and plays so well that now he's not going to get dropped. And we saw that yesterday. That what does that say about the squad that we've got, Joe? Like, the fact that these people can come in and immediately look like we can't drop them. I mean, that says a lot about what we could do this season, and define do, and we'll do that over the course of the season. But we certainly have got a competitive squad and a side where if people do come out, there's someone who's clearly just as good to come in to replace them.
The only counter to that, I think, is Coventry, because I just think he's a class above anybody else that we've got in that role. But yeah, for the first time in a long time, you've got two players for every position pretty much on the pitch. And not too long ago, we had the likes of Mickey Apples, who I understand is about to get the bullet today after managing a total of 3 wins in about a year at Shrewsbury. So he's definitely overperformed there. But under his tutelage, you were looking and thinking, it'd be nice to have one player for every position. So we've come a hell of a long way in such a short period of time. And you look at the likes of Nibs, who we've spent money on, and every time he comes on, he has a huge impact. But you got Sonny, Carey, just absolutely smashing balls into the net from a million miles out, when even the bloke in front of me shouted no as he took the shot, and then had to retract all of the words trying to catch them as the ball rocketed into net. So you just look across the team, and there's so much competition for space. And I don't know how Nathan Jones does any work on a training ground, because he must just be sitting there answering questions from players, asking when they're going to get a go, because he knows they're all good enough to play. And that's where you want to be as a manager, right? You want to have absolute headaches night and day, and he definitely has them at the minute. But you're looking at even other squads. How many squads in the Championship would be saying, we've got definitely 2 players for every position, and when they're not maybe world beaters, they might not be sort of level with their peers across every team, but to be able to turn out such consistent performances, and consistency is what gets you where you're going in the league. It's not having, a few players that can absolutely tear teams up and then a few that you're carrying. There's absolutely no one that's being carried in that squad at the minute, and it's really exciting as a Charlton fan. That there's still things, that personally that I would maybe tweak or change. It's just preferences that I have, but I think there's so many fans who maybe have a slight preference for a player or another player, but that's just personal preference. And we're in a really rich position at the minute where Nathan can sit down and literally choose the 11 that he thinks is going to go and win a game, and no one can really complain about it because they all know whoever's coming on is putting in an absolute stellar performance. And Gillespie, hats off to him, because yesterday he came on with like a man possessed and really did stake a claim for the fact that he has been harshly done by to be dropped, even though Amari Bell has just been class this season as well.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Stephen said as well, and we have to remember this, what a change from how we saw Macca before Nathan Jones arrived. Like, improving players is part of a coach's role, and bigging them up and giving them belief, and Nathan's clearly done that with many members of the squad over the last year and a half. But Macca certainly a good example of it. Dickie saying, definitely feel like we are dark horses, completely under everyone's radar. I feel it in my bones that we'll make the playoffs. I won't be disappointed if we don't, but I feel that we can get there. So the first half we were good. I mean, we had a couple of chances towards the end. TC had a header. Lloyd Jones had a header that was well saved, actually. And in another day, we probably take a second goal advantage into the break. But second half, I mean, we upped it another couple of levels there, Paul. The chances at the start of the half, I mean, TC with a couple of curlers. There was that Doherty product goal quite early. That they had a handball appeal, which I haven't seen back. It didn't seem to make the highlights on the Sky Sports website. So I don't know if anyone had a replay at the time. Paul or Joey or Paul.
Yeah, I've seen it on the ITV highlights.
All right, and what was it? The ITV highlights went on until like midnight last night.
Yeah, I know. Tell me, it was a late finish last night. I actually was daft enough to watch League One and League Two's highlights as well. Why, I don't know, but clearly, clearly I wasn't ready for sleep. Yeah, no, it wasn't a very good angle, to be honest, into what they videoed. But on another day, you know what refs can be like, how inconsistent and poor they can be. That could have been given, I think. But we got the rub of the green yesterday, and I'm not saying it wasn't. It just looked a bit 50-50 to me in terms of where it actually hit him as he was going down. So, but yeah, I mean, to be honest, my view is, who cares? We've had enough of those sorts of incidents already this season where we thought we deserved a pen and didn't get anything out of it. So if one goes our way, whether it wasn't, so be it. Great stuff.
Yeah. I think Valerian Ishmael came in, so he came into the press conference so quickly yesterday that I wasn't even there. I was still upstairs finishing off what I had to do. So, but apparently he was saying it turned on a yellow card, and Rich told me as well that he was moaning that the referee laughed and winked at Todd Cantwell when he didn't give the decision. So the laugh, like I could sort of see a referee sort of nah, like laughing like that, but winking. I mean, come on, man. There's a time and a place if you want to make your move for Todd Cantwell, and now it's clearly not it. Cameron said it looked like a handball at the time, which was sort of my reaction at the time, but I was quite far away. But yeah, I mean, then the chances are starting to pile up properly, Joe. Obviously, we've had Leeburn and Alafe have come on. When you see Reece Burke miss that chance after the save from Carey, I don't know if anyone saw the West Brom game on Friday night against Leicester, but they, in about the 90th minute, missed the same chance, and then Leicester went down the other end and equalised and made it 1-1. So in your mind, you're thinking, oh no, please, let's just not let that happen to us. After all the games we should have won this season but didn't. But yeah, the Kerry goal, the second goal for the Addicks was a lovely strike. And I mean, your mate near you, Joe, wasn't the only one who thought he shouldn't shoot. Even Nathan Jones, you'll hear in the press conference, said, I didn't expect to see him shoot from there, but I'm pretty sure he was glad that he did.
Yeah, just quickly, the Blackburn fans have got a new chant for the referee because they can all chant "Who's the winker in the black?" But the Carey goal is absolutely class. I mean, the thing that stood out to me there was Tanto just absolutely ragdolling the defender for fun. He had him sort of under his arm, and his mate under the other arm, just sort of strolling about doing what he wanted with the ball. It was so unbelievable strength, and deserves a lot of credit for his hold-up play. Jones said, didn't he? He was annoyed that he didn't lay it off to Bree because Bree's good from those distances. But when I watched it back, Bree's about 15 yards behind Carey. So if Bree had knocked it in from there, then that would have been a hell of a goal. And to say, well, actually, I think there's someone that can score from almost the halfway line better than you can just outside the box is a little bit unfair. But as soon as he picked it up, there was only one thing in his mind. And I was trying to work out what on earth the goalkeeper was doing to be beaten at his near post. But Kerry just takes it so early, I think, that the goalie's jumped up in midair ready to dive. And by the time he's landed, it's already in the net. It's an unbelievable strike. And he had a couple of shots that haven't quite come off where he's taking pot shots from the edge of the area and sort of having to sort of snatch at chances to sort of get them. But always on target. And how we got him for free and how Blackpool fans weren't that upset about it. It just baffles my brain. He's clearly a cut above League One level and very, very comfortable at this level. And from as soon as that goal goes in, you sort of breathe a massive sigh of relief. But also, I think it gives a lot of confidence to the players that they can really find goals from all over the pitch in this team. We need the strikers to start chipping in as well, and I'm sure they will. But the likes of Carey in the side, you're carrying such a threat that you can't just mark one man. You've really got to look after all of the players in that attacking portion of the pitch because on their day, they can all tuck it away very, very nicely.
Yeah, Luke saying it was Kerry's shot that led to Burke blazing over. I love the fact we have a midfielder that shoots on sight now, gives us so much more threat. And again, when we spoke to one of the Blackpool podcasters in the summer when we signed him, and he did say he loves a shot from outside the area. And you can see that yesterday. And it's not. I remember Ben saying quite a lot last season, like it doesn't feel like our midfielders do that enough. Just have a go. But this year we've seen Carey with a couple. We've seen Connor Coventry with that shot that was incredibly well saved against Leicester, I think it was at home. Like I'm not against midfielders having a pop, especially when they can hit him as well as Carey can. The third goal. So what there's quite a lot we haven't spoken about yet, and we will go more into the midfield, as in Doc and Cov in detail after the interview. But Doherty deserved an assist, and Bree deserves a goal. He's had 2 assists already in his 2 starts, and that was a lovely finish. Great way to wrap up the game, and again headaches there because Apter played so well, but Bree is just looks even better since he's come in. Fantastic way to wrap it up, Paul.
Yeah, it was. I was surprised it went in because it looked like it on another day you could have thought it was a back pass. It was such a composed kind of side of the foot shot, but oh my God, the accuracy into that far corner, it was sublime. And that's just another. This is early days in watching Bree play for us. Let's not forget this is 2 games in, 2 assists and a goal, and you can just see the class that he's got in this system, to the point that I know a lot of fans on forums and stuff are already worried that we haven't signed him permanently, because if he keeps up this sort of form game in, game out, surely Southampton are going to want to haul him back in and have him in their side come February. But that's far away from now. Let's enjoy all these minutes and moments as they come to light for Charlton. I thought he played exceptionally well, and to have been in that position and take that chance the way he did, which wasn't the first. I mean, there was that run that he did in the first half, toward the end of the first half, when he got tripped for the free kick. He was just possessed. He was going to drive into that box. It was bouncing off his knee, whatever. He just kept on going. So I think those people that kind of didn't know too much about him and thought that he was going to be a centre back or right back, etc., are now seeing firsthand that he can play that right wing back role really well, and he has the balance of strong defensive experience combined with the ability to go forward and that fantastic crossing ability. So we can now better understand why Nathan saw in him the kind of perfect combination of skill, I suppose, and experience to take on that right wing back role. And the only thing we can do is feel for poor Rob Apter, who did so well at the start of the season, but he's just going to, it appears, have to bide his time.
Yeah, I mean, Sheepy's asking how could we bring Apter in now? I mean, that's the question. I mean, he will get his chances. There'll be games where he comes off the bench and impacts. There'll be times where maybe Apter is the right tactical decision over Bree. Who knows? But again, it's these headaches. The paracetamol sales in the southeast London area at the moment are just going through the roof because there's so many selection headaches for us. And Mark saying Apter is such an exciting player, but Bree just has that extra level of composure and class. The assist last week and the goal yesterday was so similar in the sense of the calm side-footed placement. Yeah, that's a really fair point. Right, we've still got so much to talk about, but I think we should hear from the Addicks boss, Nathan Jones. Had a quick chat with him after yesterday's 3-0 win against Blackburn Rovers. Nathan, congratulations. A comprehensive home win today. What did you make of it?
Oh, I thought we were outstanding, apart from the first 10 minutes where we struggled probably to get a grips with their fluidity in terms of when they roll people inside and so on. But after that, I thought we were dominant. I thought we really were. We were aggressive. We were front-footed, and I thought that second half performance was relentless and should have been more. I mean, we missed some glorious chances. We had some wonderful opportunities, but immensely proud of that performance because that's how I want to see us play. That is front-footed, aggressive. Game changers came on. Great performance.
Does it feel like this has been coming all season, really, the way you've started this campaign?
Listen, absolutely. I mean, if we'd had that clinical element against Leicester, we'd have won the game. If we'd had that clinical element against Millwall, we would have probably. So look, we are. But look, we over 46 game period. I'm sure we'll have games where we might not deserve to win and do. But I just thought we were outstanding from start to finish. How I want us to play, there was out of possession. We were aggressive. We defended our box fantastically well. I mean, I can't remember Thomas having a save to make. And these are a good side. They score goals. They're fluid away from home. They're better than they've been at home. The Cantwell's a wonderful technician, and the front 3 or 4 very difficult to nail down. But second half, I thought we played with an intensity that was wonderful.
And highlighted today the fact it's a squad game. We saw it a lot last season. People who had to come in when others were injured were clearly ready. And McCauley, was superb today.
Well, look, I'm really pleased and proud of him because he's been hard done by. He scored the winner in the playoff final, not to start any of the first 5, 6, 7 games is tough. It's tough. That's tough to take. But I spoke to him yesterday and said to him, look, it's tough, but you need to start. And he's come in and he was immense. He was immense today and stepped in and scored not just a goal but his overall performance. But you look at Bree, look at Burke, Lloyd, all, and Mari when he had to step in. Midfield were relentless and things. The game changers we brought on were phenomenal. And look, I'm really proud of that performance because I thought we were excellent. I really did.
It was only a matter of time before that second goal did come, but some strike from Sonny, Carey.
Well, you say only a matter of time, but as a manager, you sit there thinking, I hope it comes, and from on the balance of play, it should have come sooner and a lot easier. I mean, Reece Burke's chance is glorious, but the lead up to that was wonderful play. And we've had a number of opportunities to have extended it earlier, but we didn't. But look, when it comes, it comes. And I couldn't believe Sonny shot from there. I thought he should have played it to Bree, who was inside and was in a better position. But the ginger genius, we love him.
The third goal, I mean, if anyone deserved an assist today, I'd say Greg Doherty's run in midfield was so impressive.
I thought the midfield were outstanding. Three of them were absolutely. The energy they play with is phenomenal. The Connor Coventry dealt with Campbell phenomenally, because if Campbell's in the game, then they're a good side. I thought he went up against him. He was aggressive in terms of everything he did. But our midfield phenomenal. Then we bring Nibsy on, and he was outstanding as well. And the game changers, I thought, really took the game away from them today, and that's why he highlights the squad game. We say it every day. It's a culture, it's an environment, it's what we demand. Anyone that drops off, we're only as strong as our weakest link. If we have any weakest links, they don't survive at this football club, because we train at the level, we have an ethos, we have a culture here that it's the group, not an individual. And if anyone thinks differently, then they will not be here.
How is Josh Edwards? I've seen he was on crutches by the tunnel.
Well, that'll be a precaution. Obviously, he's rolled his ankle in terms of that, so we'll just see how that is, and it's only time.
It's back-to-back championship wins, a chance to extend that as well on Tuesday at Derby. I mean, it's a great run, and the momentum behind you as well is obviously really useful.
Look, the championship is a relentless league, and it comes thick and fast. Look, we haven't got no time to enjoy this. We'll breathe tonight, and then we're back in tomorrow and preparing for a really tough game on the road. But this is the championship, and as I said, we've come into the league and everyone's thinking, well, how are they going to do? They've got up in the playoffs. What kind of team are they going to be? Favourites for relegation? All this malarkey, and we've adapted nicely, and we're nowhere near our ceiling yet, and that's the good thing.
PSF Steel Limited is a trade supplier of steel fabrication and erection services to the new build, construction and refurbishment market in southern England. With their unrivaled depth of experience, they excel at providing their customers with high quality and cost-effective steel fabrication solutions. Their customers include national and regional house builders, such as Barratt Homes, Bellway Homes, the Vistry Group and Taylor Wimpey. They pride themselves on their service-based ethos and commitment to customer service excellence, which includes full technical backup and on-site services and support. If you would like more information, go to www.psfsteel.co.uk. That's www.psfsteel.co.uk.
Hello fellow addicts, I'm so excited to tell you all about our micropub, the River Ale House. The River Ale House is based in East Greenwich. It has 6 Pub of the Year awards, an ever-changing selection of amazing beer. It's owned by Charlton fans, walkable to the ground in just 20 minutes with buses that go direct to the Valley too. If your matchday routine includes a drink with your friends, you must join your fellow addicts in the River. See you soon.
Right, welcome back to Charlton Live on your Sunday morning. Just before the break there, we heard from the Addicks boss, Nathan Jones, after yesterday's 3-0 win against Blackburn Rovers at the Valley, heaping praise on the ginger genius, and he did sort of smirk when he said that to me as well. But yeah, that was funny. That's a great nickname for Sonny, Carey, and he deserves it after his performances so far. Isaac said he's just off to the barbers later. He's going to go and get his hair dyed ginger. I mean, that's the way to go, Isaac. I think that's a life choice you won't regret. It's an interesting point that Luke's made in the chat, Joe. So he said, I noticed that Nathan made the subs a lot earlier yesterday, even though we were still in the ascendancy. He always gets it right. So it was the hour mark where he switched the front two. So TC and Kerman came off, Alafe and Leeburn came on. So Leeburn came on the hour last week as well. And I've been saying for a while, like, that is a game plan that I think is set out before the game. Yeah, I'm sure it can adapt if things aren't going to plan, but we have got game changers on the bench, which we're calling them now, who you know, if you give them a half an hour stint, that they will just bully a tired defence. And Kelman and TC play their part in getting to that stage in the game. I thought TC was the better one. I thought Kelman didn't have his best game yesterday. I mean, there was a couple of strange decisions. Maybe there was one run in the first half where I can't remember who slotted the ball behind the defender, and then Kelman sort of ran around the defender when he should have ran straight. So it wasn't quite his best yesterday, but also that he still plays a part in the running and what we need to do. But Leeburn and Alafe, when they came on yesterday, Alafe in particular, because we know what Leeburn does, but Alafe, he's been great to watch when he's come off the bench so far this season. And yesterday was arguably probably his best performance.
Yeah, I mean, just on Kelman, I think he was very unlucky not to have an assist yesterday. He laid the ball off for Doc right on the penalty spot, and Doc decided that of the entire goal, he'd rifle it straight at the keeper. I think if that landed to Kerry, Kelman would have had an assist out of that. But yeah, they're definitely, and his pressing game was really strong. Like, he was part of that harrying, he was part of that nuisance that I think enabled us to really build that platform in the second half from the start. But it's interesting that the comment was that the subs came when we were in the ascendancy. I don't disagree, but the point at which Jones called them out and they got changed was that 5-minute spell in the second half where they were starting to just get on top of us a little bit. And I actually said to my dad in the stands that I feel like we need to make a change now because we've been so strong and they're just now getting the other side of us, and we need to refresh some legs and change the impetus and impose ourselves on them. And our subs were ready just at that period. And then we started to get the ascendancy back, and suddenly Blackburn rushed 2 subs out. So I think that, the decision was made in that little spell where they had just started to turn the tide, and credit Jones for that, because that's exactly the point. Is when that sort of momentum starts to subside, you want to do something to sort of wrestle that back from the opposition. But both Tanto and Leeburn, I mean, just absolute physical units. And if you've been already running around for an hour, and then you look over and you see you've got one 6-foot striker that's got pace to burn and it can hold you off, and you've got one that's 6'7" that can hold the ball up and spin stuff in behind you and has pace when he gets going. You're not thinking, oh, great, I'm absolutely delighted about this. You're thinking, oh, God's sake. So I think we're we have a bit of a luxury there. And the other thing is, we still got to get Godden somehow into this squad when he comes back. I mean, I don't understand how we're going to do it. I do think we're going to have to investigate Mark's plan of having more than 11 players on the pitch in order to get everyone the game time that we need. Because, you know, you're going to be going, well, who do you want to bring on off the bench, or who do you want to start out of that five? It's an incredibly difficult job. But the subs did come a little bit earlier, and I thought that Nibs came on at a good time as well yesterday, and enough time to get involved in the game and press. And just as Carey had started to tire a little bit and wasn't able to do as much as he was, and since I think it was just after we scored the second goal, and getting Jones out the firing line after he got his yellow card for the player diving on the floor, which was a disgrace. Everything was sort of largely perfect and to plan, and I do think the substitution that changed the game the most was Gillespie, and I think that the injury might have had something to do with it, but maybe we'll give Jones the credit for making such an early sub there as well.
Yeah, I did feel bad for Edwards, because he like, you know what Josh Edwards' character is. He wanted to play on and he tried, but as soon as he took that long throw on my side of the ground, it's like, no, like, even when he was running over to take it off, I really didn't think he looked like he was going to be able to. But yeah, fingers crossed it won't be too bad. Who knows? So with a rolled ankle, he looked not. I mean, as soon as he went down, I think, oh, that looks a little bit nasty. Josh said he'd like to see Kelman gamble more. There was 2 perfect balls from Coventry, yet he's still a yard away from the ball. There's a couple of times he was just. He still needs to get up to, I don't know, the full sharpness, like, as in. But now he has to do it. Okay, he looked better last couple of games, but yet yesterday felt like a minor regression for me, which was a shame. But let's not write him off. Last season, with Leyton Orient, second half of the season was really hit his stride, and we'll see. Right, I mean, Joe referenced the fact that Mark thinks we should try and squeeze a few more players onto the pitch just to get them all in, Paul. But I think we did yesterday, because we appear to have about 4 men in midfield, because every time the ball dropped anywhere, there was either Doherty or Coventry or one of their lookalikes who somehow were also all over the pitch. Like, they were just absolutely everywhere yesterday. Nathan mentioned the job that, I don't know if that's the right phrase, but the work that Coventry did to negate Cantwell. He's a very good player, although you wouldn't have seen it yesterday because he weren't allowed to play. And Doherty, again, like, I thought he was just marvellous yesterday. The energy, and he was still going at the end, like towards in the second half when he pops up right at the end with that assist. Like, if I'd been like, the amount of running he's had to do up and down the pitch, like, it was only a couple of minutes before the Carey goal that him and Coventry pounced on a ball right on the edge of our box. And then he's up and down the whole pitch. It's absolutely spectacular. And that midfield, like I said, they're playing like there's 4 of them when there's only 2 of them. They must be so proud of the energy that they've shown in their performances.
Yeah, they've been stellar in the last 2 games, in fact, and they always give a good account of themselves. But the last 2 games, they've just performed exceptionally well. My man of the match was Connor Coventry, because you mentioned Todd Cantwell, Louis. I mean, this is a former Norwich Scottish Premier League player that had 3 goals coming into the game already this season, and is technically capable, and is a real danger man for them. And he barely got a sniff. He was having to go quite a bit deeper in order to get a bit of space to even pass. And that was down to Connor. Connor just did not let him breathe in that game. And he was tracking, but as the game grew on, got more and more confident, stepping forward a little bit as well, and getting in the mix in that final third in terms of passes and helping to create chances. So I thought he was exceptional. I mean, he was a proper 9 out of 10 performer yesterday. And Doc, I am both really pleased for and somewhat kind of relieved, I suppose, because when we got him from Hull City, I wondered whether it was his step down, and it slowly, as players do, play at a certain level and then they step down after a period of time. I wondered if he was going to be able to kind of pick back up to the standards that the Championship demand. And I think he is absolutely proving that not only he can, but he can do it exceptionally and become a real thorn box to box, because that's what his role is, in our side. So the fact that he can do the defensive bit, he's a proper unit. I mean, he's such a strong player with the energy he's got to get into that final third, create things. He had a couple of headers the previous week. It's a real captain's leading performance, and I'm so pleased for him. And long may it continue. I think those two, as was referenced earlier by Joe, I mean, I think if Cov got injured, we'd be seeing what Rankin Costello's all about, but we don't really want to do that because this pair are the engine room, and that's not taking anything away from Carey in front of them or Nibs when he came on, by the way. They play exceptionally important roles, but we can't underestimate how much that fulcrum's protecting the back four and doing that defensive duty. I mean, poor old Kaminsky must be reading 50 Shades of Boredom between the sticks each game at the minute, because he just isn't getting to have to do too much, because a lot of that hard labour is done actually before the back four. And a lot of that's down to Coventry and of course Doc. So yeah, I think that was probably the most satisfying midfield performance we could witness, and it's just a question of whether they can keep those standards up game in, game out, because if they do, they're going to give us a fantastic platform for further points in the upcoming games.
Yeah, Mark said Doc had had a difficult first few games, but he's looked immense recently, fast becoming my favourite player. Ethan said he enjoyed the visible frustration from Cantwell, even shoving Coventry for no reason. Was so funny. Luke said earlier that to think Coventry had people doubting him in the first 6 months or so he was with us. The guy has been our best midfielder since he stepped into the building. Interesting stuff. And well, Lou says Doc's energy was like Louis going to the press room lunch table, getting to balls, whatever obstacles were put in his way. There we go. Lovely stuff. Let's have a look at a couple of emails quickly. Mickey's asked a good question, like why don't we get the opponent that we have on a Thursday to come back on the show on a Sunday morning to give their view of the game? But that would just go one of two ways. Either today, it would feel like we were taking the absolute mickey. Like, well, yeah, were you rubbish, weren't you? We were brilliant and you were rubbish. What did you think? Or if we've lost, it'll just be the other way around. Like, oh, go on then, rub it in. Like, get out. So, no, I've thought about it before, but I don't think it works quite as well when we know the result. Gary said, talk about battering a team. Could easily be 6 or 7-0. They couldn't live with us in the second half. Although we did get away with that penalty shout for them. Onwards now to 2 tough away games. Hopefully get maximum from those 2. But it'd be happy enough with 4 points. That's Gary from Woolwich. And Ray says, morning, gents. Fabulous yesterday. Great performance. Slow start, but we grew into the game and then completely dominated. He said Gillespie came on and looked like he was fully up to speed, which is a bonus considering how many minutes he's had. A great header. Bree's delivery is outstanding and something we've missed for many a year. The tireless running by everyone eventually wore Blackburn down. They just couldn't cope with us. Carey, that was a fantastic strike. Already looks like a player of the season contender to him. And not many teams will live with us if we put in that amount of effort each week. The 200-mile drive back home, I don't think I even needed headlights as I was grinning like a Cheshire cat. On to Derby. The next 4 games will tell us if we really might be playoff contenders. Well, let's see over the next few weeks. Let's have a listen to the Ginger Genius from one to another. Sonny, Carey caught up with him after yesterday's game. These are his thoughts on the 3-0 win against Blackburn.
Sonny, comprehensive home win today. How did you see it?
Yeah, it was a great win. I think that's been coming, in the games before. We've had a lot of chances and, not been able to convert them. So I think that's been coming. We've been doing a lot of work, on the final third in training, and I think that paid off today.
Yeah, so exactly the same to Nathan. You could feel that's been coming all season. What do you think changed today to make it happen?
We were just more clinical in the final third. We got on top. There's been spells in games before when we've got on top and not scored. But I think today, we was on top for, the whole of the second half, and today we made it count.
Obviously had to deal with an injury in the first half with Josh Edwards going off, but obviously Macaulay Gillespie came and performed superbly.
Yeah, I thought he was brilliant. I thought the whole team was from back to front. The game changes that came on, I thought everyone was great today. It was a proper squad performance, and we're just all delighted with the 3 points and another clean sheet. What's
going through your mind when you see that space in front of you open up in sort of midway through the second half?
I'm going to be honest, I had nothing else was on my mind apart from get it and shoot. I've seen it back and I could have maybe passed it, but I just had nothing else in my mind, and I caught it sweet and it went in.
So 2 goals in 2 home games for you now. We saw at Blackpool last season in the second half, you like to find the back of the net. Is that something you're keen to do as many times as possible this season?
Yeah, definitely. That's as an individual, I set myself, personal targets and, goals and assists, and, that's why I'm in the team. I'm in the team as an attacking player. You want to convert goals and assists, and I'm happy to get 2 in the last 2 home games, and hopefully I can, keep progressing and keep scoring.
Have you enjoyed your start to life at the Valley?
Yeah, I've loved it. I've loved every minute of it. Every interview I've done, I've said, how much I love it here, and all the lads and all the staff have all, been welcoming the minute, since the minute I got here. So yeah, I'm loving it.
Obviously, the position you play as well, there's some really good competition in that role. Like someone like Harvey Nibbs coming in, Luke Berry, who's obviously here and did it last year as well. That must sort of keep you on your toes, I guess. Yeah,
it's good. It's a competitive squad, which is good. It's a great squad. I think Gaffer could play a whole different 11, and you wouldn't notice. So it's a great squad. Everyone's fighting for places, and it's we've got good, healthy competition.
How do you assess sort of Charlton's chances of where they could finish this season? Obviously, you have been in the Championship before as a player, but 7th already. It's very early days, though. But what could Charlton achieve this year?
I think we can achieve whatever we want to achieve. Like you said, it's obviously early days, but we've played. Was it seven games now? Nothing's made us frightened of anything. We go into every game wanting to win. It's a tough league, and anyone can beat anyone. On their day, but we don't fear anyone. So if we play away from home, we play at home. We're trying to get 3 points.
I think the 2 midfielders who sit behind you, the energy they bring to that side also gives you sort of the licence to go forward and do what you want to do. But how big are Connor and Doc to the team?
Yeah, they're massive. Like you just said, their energy, they're here, there and everywhere. I think Doc was near the left wing when he got the assist for the 3rd goal. So, yeah, everyone to a man today was excellent.
You've seen it, obviously, now against Millwall when you scored, today at full-time when everyone said the atmosphere at the Valley. I mean, you weren't here last year. It's very, very different to what it was at times last year. I mean, how good does it feel to be out there?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. That's the word that comes to mind straight away, unbelievable. The fans in the whole stadium, every single home game, the atmosphere has just been, unbelievable. I think I've said it before, they're our 12th man, when we're on top in games and, they're singing, or maybe if we're struggling and they're getting behind us, they really do help. So, we appreciate every single one of them.
This is where we see how relentless the Championship is, with 2 away games coming up over the next few days, starting with Derby on Tuesday.
Yeah, no time to rest. It was a great result today, 3 goals and a clean sheet, but we've got to put that behind us now and, start preparing for Derby, because it's a quick turnaround, in a couple of days. So we'll have to go up there and, put in another good performance.
There we go. That's Sonny, Carey having a quick chat with me yesterday after the 3-0 win against Blackburn. He got his 2nd goal in as many home games yesterday, Joe. Well, I mean, someone sent a message somewhere. I can't remember where I read it now, but that I don't know. People were maybe... They weren't massively excited when they saw him. They weren't like, "Oh wow, we've just signed Sonny Carey." They didn't know enough about him to really understand. But I mean, anyone who's watched him so far, to keep out the players he's keeping out of the squad. I mean, I talk about the energy of the midfielders behind him, but he's got running for days as well. Like the amount of time he pops up beyond the strikers and around the edge of the area, it's been so impressive so far.
Yeah, and I think it's helped him a little bit having Apter in the team for the first few games, because their link-up was, telepathic at times, and has really helped him establish himself in this team. But he's a player that wants to work hard, that is very, very comfortable doing the difficult yards. He's always on the press, and he has that quality and presence on the ball that just enables him to take advantage of those platforms that he helps create. And I don't think you'll find a more perfect Nathan Jones midfielder out there. He is, well, apart from maybe Nibbs or all the other ones that we've got, to be honest. But he sort of fits that role absolutely perfectly. And I think he is case in point of showing just how, as a club, we're going about building squads now that are able to complement each other, that are able to deliver the ethos and philosophy that Nathan Jones has on the pitch. But I think that we'll be talking about him the way that we talk about Ramsey. What was he doing just out of contract in League One? He was far too good to be down at that level. And I've got a tweet that I was sent by a Blackpool fan when I was saying it was great business signing him and Apter, telling me that there's absolutely no way that they'll step up, and I can bookmark it if I want. I have, and I'm really looking forward to replying in April.
I think you could reply now quite comfortably and say, actually, they've already proven you wrong. So I asked Sonny, what can we achieve this season? Sheepy saying this podcast is bad for my health. I'm starting to believe that we might be contenders for the playoffs. Like, the graph don't come out till 10 games in, those who were asking in the chat earlier, because it is a little bit early. Andreas is asking for it now. But I have a sneaky little look at it every now and then, just in the opening few days of the season, and we're on track. We're on track so far. It's only 7 games, but we're on track. Paul, what is realistic for us this season? Like, injuries have to happen at some point. A loss of form has to happen at some point, presumably. Although not ain't so far. But what are we saying? What can we achieve this season?
What's Nathan saying? Nathan will be saying to himself, we can achieve, I would imagine, promotion, playoffs minimum, because that's the mentality of the guy. We're going to be far more nervous, most of us anyway, that are sensible in thinking or believing that, for the reasons you've said. I mean, we've got lots of strength and depth in the squad, but that's not been tested through suspensions and injuries too much at the beginning of this season, because we've been fortunate enough, bar Josh's injury yesterday, not to see so much of that happening so far. So it's really difficult to tell. And I think I said last week, 10 games, that 10-game marker is probably, that's the right moment to sort of like look back at those first 10 games and see where have we netted out. And if we're still in and around 6th to 10th after those first 10 games, I think I will feel more optimistic and more excitable about the prospect of us sticking around that area. That said, you then look at the next batch of games, which I've already done, by the way. So clearly I am getting ahead of myself. You start to look at the November games beyond October, and that looks like a trickier set than the October games. So it's just too early to say. We've got to take every single game as it comes, apply ourselves in exactly the same way as Nathan sets us up. And I think we're going to give everybody a game. I don't care who it is in the division. I think he's just set us up in a way that it's going to ensure that we are competitive, and then we'll see how the dice roll and what results we get off the back of those performances. And I think that's the key. He won't let the performances dip. And that's the beauty of having a manager like Nathan Jones. He wouldn't tolerate anything other than them putting in 110% every single game. And so that puts us in good stead. All that said, and I'll say that right now, and I'll see what I think later on in the season. You look at teams like Ipswich and those that do the double bounce. It doesn't always serve you well. You're sometimes better really establishing yourself and building up a squad that is sufficiently competitive in what is the most difficult league in the world. And so I'm not getting too ahead of myself. I think I'm just enjoying the moment, coming on the pod and talking to friends about a fantastic win the day before is enough for me. I'm very satisfied with what Charlton are doing right now. And yeah, just looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, Alfie says one thing that has been consistent for us, even being able to suggest playoff, is the defence. The stability of it can allow us to ride the volatility of the Championship like very few teams. Excellent stuff. Right, Derby coming up Tuesday. Not had a great start to the season so far, Joe. They've only won once, which was away at West Brom a couple of weeks ago. 1-1 draw with Wrexham yesterday. They're just above the relegation zone. What we thinking? I mean, you got to see it as a chance to extend this run. You know, back to back, we are bang full of confidence at the moment. You know, we're all getting carried away. That's what happens when you win back to back, isn't it? But you know, we go there and get results. It's a return to when Nathan got his first ever Charlton win. It'd be nice to get another one.
I'm glad you finished that, because I was 99% sure, but I didn't want to say, wasn't that where we turned up and absolutely smashed them under Jones and the start of the turn? Yeah, but I think you got to look at that as a must win, really. Looking at how they're getting on at the minute and where they are in the table. And I saw their goal yesterday, which everyone's absolutely applauding, but for some reason their keeper looked about 6 foot when he was stood on the ground, and then when he dove, he looked like he was 4 foot. He didn't really go anywhere. So it was, I don't think it was as stunning a goal as it is, and that's what they needed to get past Wrexham. So I think you're looking at it as a game that we'd be expecting to go in and win based on where we are on the table, but also the form that we've been showing this season. They struggled last season, didn't they, for a long period of time as well. So looking forward to that. And we've got I assume they've still got Blackett Taylor there. So we've got him and then Small on Saturday. So we've got a couple of interesting things to come up against in terms of pace. But if we could keep that platform and that solidity in a strong position, I think that the mood in the camp is going to be absolutely buoyant. They're going to be looking to get out the gates fast and really stake a claim in that game. So I'm actually driving past the Derby Stadium on Tuesday. Annoyingly, I can't stay because I've got an early appointment in London next day. But I will be driving past it on Tuesday, and hopefully I'll pass the team as they're coming up the motorway the other way, and I'll be able to give them a good cheering on from in my car. But I think that we've got to be going into every single game at the minute thinking, well, this is another chance to stake our claim, to say that we are properly at this level and that we are able to sustain this. And in teams like Derby, in the moments that they're in, are games that we should be really looking to capitalise on.
Lovely stuff. I think Corey's injured up there from what I was reading the other day, so I don't think he'll feature. But that'll be fine. Right, let's leave it there. We've run out of time. Massive thanks to everyone who's joined us this morning. It's always good fun to look back on a game where the Addicks have absolutely battered someone. So it did enjoy that this morning. So thanks to everyone who's joined us in the chat. Don't forget to check out our merch store, charltonlive.etsy.com, for your Charlton Live mugs. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you never miss another show. You can do the same on the podcast apps as well. If you're out and about and just want to listen to the podcast, hit subscribe. You will never miss another show. Paul and Joe, it's an absolute pleasure as always.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you very much, Louis. And safe travels, all those heading up to Derby on Tuesday.
Yeah, great show. Sorry for the unplanned appearance of Harry about 75 times during that, but he decided he was bored with his pad.
Well, get him to watch the show, but he will never be bored again. Lovely stuff. Right, I'm Louis Mendes. This has been Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. Thanks for listening. We'll be back on Thursday when we will look back at the game at Derby and ahead to next Saturday's trip up to Preston. We'll see you then.